Another week, another mystery from this time season 3 episode 2, dealing with the fallout from the night before. The entire episode is set in a single day and deals with the aftermath of the creature's attacks, what the townspeople are going to do next, an unsuspected or unpredictable development with Fatima's pregnancy, and we finally get some answers but not much about Victor and why he might have arrived in the town in the first place. As always, I'm Al, this is the Geek in Review. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, why not just hit the button and leave a like if you make it all the way to the end as well. This show is always going to keep its cards close to its chest, and that's a good thing as it can't spill out every answer at once. Season 3 is definitely changing the pace compared to the first 2 seasons, but doesn't seem to be rushing towards the ending yet. So with that out of the way, let's get into From Season 3 Episode 2. And as I said, this picks up the morning after the night before, with Jade and Victor stuck in the bar building with some goats after the creatures decided to try and lure the residents of the town out by attacking the animals and the only food source as far as they know that they had left. Jade finds Boyd still tied to the barn in the body of Kenny's mum. Boyd keeps repeating a phrase in Cantonese as if he's trying to remember it, because they're Kenny's mum's last words that she wanted passed on to her son, but Kenny's still out in the woods with Jim at the newly found cabins, and Jim has also found something else as well. Food. Vegetables that are growing and not rotten, which is a pretty big deal as the lack of food seems to be a big issue in Season 3 going forward. And it is interesting that these vegetables are grown in the wild outside of the town, while the ones that are being cultivated and watched near Colony House rotted pretty much straight away. Back in the outside meanwhile, Tabitha has spent the night with Victor's dad. No, not like that, you dirty bunch. But what has she learned, I guess, is the big question. Well, it's not what she's learned, it's what she's about to learn. Once Tabitha wakes up, he says that he recognised the lunchbox as his son, who vanished a long time ago, but didn't specifically say how long. Tabitha tells him how she arrived in the town and what happens once you do, and that Victor is there and still alive after all these years. From Tabitha's point of view, she's seen Victor a few days ago, and as you'd think, her explaining all this doesn't make any sense to the guy. Also, he doesn't confirm his name or surname, which, yeah, does seem a little bit weird to me. Tabitha manages to find an article written about families who've disappeared over the years, but it's still a lot to take in as this guy's son has been missing for decades. Tabitha also tells him about the quest that she went on with the scary kids in the lighthouse in the tower in order to get out of the town, which does seem to get his attention. Now, this is where it does get interesting, and although they don't give a specific date or amount of years, he tells her that his family disappeared over 40 years ago. So, judging by the appearance of the actor that plays Victor, that adds up, but this guy still looks a little bit young to be his dad. He's been living with the fact that his family vanished and he took the blame all those years ago, or at least people thought he was behind their disappearance. But with no bodies, there's no proof, so there wasn't any sort of trial or investigation or anything like that, at least as far as we know at this point. And after 4 decades of questions, he's ready to accept what Tabitha's telling him. While one of the discussions is going on, if you look at the wall, you can see a bunch of pictures of Victor when he was younger and his sister playing. The clearest one, or the closest one to the screen, is they're playing in snow, which I don't think is a coincidence given the fact that winter is a bit more severe in this episode than it was in episode 1. I'm not exactly sure what that means yet or how this is connected, but there's certainly something going on with Victor and his family that I'll get to in a second that are linked to the town. He tells her that it's something that he has to show her in the basement, and it turns out that Victor's mum was a bit of an artist like her son. There's a whole slew of paintings of things that show up in the town, from the diner, the freaky little girls, the symbols of the talisman. We even get one that looks like an older Victor himself, and she describes the situation of being in the town long before she arrived with Victor and his sister. So this is a huge development that Victor's mum had at least an inkling that something was going on somewhere that wasn't right. She just didn't know what or where the town was. It seems like it's a puzzle that sort of invited her in to solve it, but we still don't know exactly what that means or how people are picked, or if they are picked to arrive in the town. But what is interesting about this is it seems that some force in the town can reach out to the people in the outside world, and it seems that Victor's mother might not have been the first person that this happened to. So the question is, did she go to the town or did the town bring her to it? There's a lot to unpack in these scenes, and I'm going to go over it in another video because some of these paintings and pictures on the wall definitely warrant a little bit of further examination. But back in the town itself, Sarah is breaking the news about Kenny's mother, first to Christy, who still has feelings for Kenny, obviously, knowing that that's the only parent that he had left and knowing what happened to his dad in the first season. She's understandably worried about the guy. Jade does wonder why Boyd survived, as they literally had him where they wanted him, tied to a post, and Boyd just says that
they wanted me to watch.
We do see what happened after the end of episode 1 in flashbacks, but it's YouTube and I can't show you here, so, you know, if you want to watch the episode is what I'm saying. But there's a great scene in the episode between Boyd and Donna when they're coming to terms about what happened the night before and the tactics that the monsters are now using to lure them out of their houses. And this is interesting that Donna sees the people in the town as a more valuable resource than the food. And she's not technically wrong, but neither is Boyd in this one either. The people in the town are key, clearly, to whatever's going on. Why are they here? How did they get out? How did they die? Why did the monsters kill them? All that stuff. But in order for this to be going on, they need food to survive. We've seen Boyd and Donna disagree before because they're both representatives of the different communities in the town itself and Colony House, but we've never really seen them go at it before on this level. And that really made me think, because when they do take actions like trying to get out or trying to escape or trying to contact the outside world, something else tends to happen. Again, the radio in the bus, you've got Tabitha digging the hole that ended up in the caves. There's also a few other examples as well. But Donna, it seems that she's really lost her faith, or at least her hope. And this has been mentioned several times in the last few seasons, that something in the town feeds on people's hope of getting out. So there is definitely something else beyond the monsters wanting to escape the town, but there also seems to be some other force that's maybe trying to keep it in check. Now, one character that I've never really liked and from, or actually to, is Fatima and Ellis. It just seemed that they were just trying to be the happy couple and live the normal life in the town, and so far they've not really done much with them, or at least nothing that I've found particularly interesting. Now, at this point, Fatima is pregnant and the food shortage is obviously quite a concern. Particularly when she starts coughing up blood and losing teeth, which, let's be honest, is never a good sign. So Ellis and Fatima decide to go to the town for help, and Marielle, who is a nurse, remember, reassures them that this sort of thing is normal in a pregnancy, and she thinks it's related to Fatima's malnutrition. Which does seem like a logical, but ultimately worrying explanation itself. Later on, Fatima tries to eat spoiled crops that are pretty rotten, and it sort of seems that it's appealing to her. So is this something wrong with the pregnancy, or is she just that hungry? The thing that I find odd is, given the amount of time that people have spent in the town, no one else has mentioned that any other babies have been born in all this time, especially Victor. I mean, if you're a young couple with nothing to do and, let's just say, a limited supply of contraception, it seems inevitable that a pregnancy is going to be on the cards at one point. And if Victor's been there for 40 years and there's been dozens and dozens of people, the fact that a pregnant woman hasn't arrived or another woman hasn't got pregnant is a little bit odd. But let me know what you guys think about that. Kenny and Jim arrive back with the news of the food, as Boyd has to break the news about Kenny's mum to him. So the town has now cost Kenny both his parents. As he tries to deal with what's happening, the song Celebration comes over the radio in the diner, almost as if it's taunting him. He decides to try and take revenge on the creatures by burning the caves where they think that they live, and Boyd is more than happy to get on board with this plan. They do confirm later on in the episode they're not entirely sure that's where they live, it's just where Victor has seen them sleep, but it's the only lead that they have. Boyd tells Kenny about what happened and how he was forced to watch his mother die as they tortured her, and repeats our last words to him in Cantonese, which are, "Take care of him, he'll be all alone now." And as you can imagine, this hits Kenny like a ton of bricks. So it does seem that something in the town is getting off or getting powered by tormenting or taking away hope from people. We've heard Donna mention it in this episode, we've seen the vision of Abby mention it to Boyd last season, and we get it here with Kenny as well. The episode ends with Boyd deciding that they need answers, so they actually decide that they want to catch one of the monsters. Now, the episode ends kind of confirming my theory when the phone in Jim's house rings, and it's a child's voice claiming to be his dead son, Thomas. So we haven't had much information on Thomas over the years, but it does seem that he did die an accidental death, and this caused, understandably, a huge fracture in the family. This certainly does play into my theory that there's something in the town that is powered or, needs the people in the town to be tormented or upset and lose hope, because getting a phone call from your long lost child must be absolutely terrifying and spine chilling, and at the same time make you absolutely ecstatic having contact with this person that you thought you were never going to see again. And that's pretty much where episode 2 ends. We don't get much forward in terms of answers this week, but the plot is certainly moving along nicely. Everything here is the fallout from last week's episode, and I'll be honest, I enjoyed what I saw. Although we're finally getting to the answers to Victor's past, there's clearly a link between him, the town, and his mother, and we've now got more questions knowing his mother had the visions before she arrived there. And you've got to wonder how many other people had these visions before they arrived. There could be people in the town that experienced them that haven't mentioned it, but Elgin is a prime suspect because as he literally rolled into town on the bus, he was having a dream about it, and he has mentioned more than once that he seems to have deja vu when looking at things in the place. So I've got to wonder how they're going to push these ideas forward that they're setting up in these early episodes that are going to pay off later on in the season. I think there are a lot of small things in this episode that need to get unpacked and studied further, so I'm going to be doing a few theory videos on it, so make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. While not as exciting as last week, I did really enjoy the episode, and it's only episode 2, so we've still got a lot of characters to cover this season and focus on, but Boyd and Kenny, for now, at least have a plan on what to do next. It's just a matter of seeing who else is on board and what they're going to come up with in order to catch a creature. Because if they do capture one, I don't think they're going to get the answers that they want. It's probably just going to lead to more mysteries or lead to a next clue, but as always, we're going to have to wait and see. Now, I really want to hear what you guys' theories are on from, especially the last 2 episodes. Where do you think this is going with the Fatima stuff? What's calling out to Victor and his mum? And how the hell did Tabitha get out of the town in the first place? I'm really enjoying the season so far. I hope it keeps up the pace, and I hope it keeps up bleeding and dripping these answers to us. And my name's Al. Thanks for watching.